This challenge SeanieDew created would honestly work as an official Stardew Valley challenge mode with a leaderboard. Shawnee, in his infinite wisdom, created a save file that he opened up to the public, challenging them to get as deep as they could in the Skull Caverns in a single day. The true masterstroke was that Shawnee gave contestants a prep day, one full in-game day of preparation. And the prep day was nuts. There were chests hidden everywhere. There were random crystallariums in the stinky sewers. The fact that it was Sunday was important. The fact that I had access to the casino was important. And perhaps most importantly, there were 3 deconstructors at my disposal. Who knew how overpowered these things were? It was so much fun figuring out how to make the most of the crazy prep day Shawnee had planned out. And here is what I came up with. I loaded up Shawnee's outrageous cave gremlin save file. Look at this gorgeous fella. And began exploring the map. I had no idea what to expect and initially thought that this stuff next to my house was all that I had at my disposal. But soon enough, I noticed this cheeky chest lurking behind my house. This made me realize, Shawnee is a sneaky boy. I must scour the map for his sleuthy shenanigans. And so I did. Oh, and by the way, Shawnee's rules forbid purchasing anything from Gus's saloon or from the dwarves. So I was unsure of what I was going to do about food, but in my prep, I realized Sandy at the Oasis in the desert sells ice cream on Sundays. Who knew? Once I thought I'd found all of Shawnee's tricks, I set out on my first attempt at a prep day. Spoiler alert, this first strategy was, average at best. First up, I admired the fact that the cat was named Haboob. Then I rapidly opened all my mail. I then fixed the sound. SeanieDew is a giant troll, so he had the sound volume blasting and everything else muted. I don't know. Then I deleted my rings and shorts. The rings because I knew I was about to get upgrades, and the shorts just for good measure. I opened chest 1 and collected the pirate's locket plus this 5 stack of food. I picked up these 5 furnaces, grabbed all the stuff from chests 2 and 3, put the 2 iridium bands on and picked up both chests. I then collected the honey before putting all 3 stone chests I just collected into the deconstructors. These give a handy 50 stone each when deconstructed. I made a wooden chest and dumped everything I didn't need and of course hung onto everything I knew would be useful. Then I ran to the sewers. I needed a bunch of fiber, so I mowed down some weeds and then availed myself of the jade bounty. This totaled 32 jades, the 16 collected from the completed crystallariums and the 16 inside the crystallariums that drop when you pickaxe the crystallarium itself. I then crafted a farm totem using the hardwood I got from chest 3, the honey from the bee houses, and the fiber I just collected and headed straight back to the farm. I collected my 150 stone and put 3 crystallariums in to deconstruct. This was my money-making method, as they deconstruct into 2 iridium bars each, and these sell to Clint for 1,000 gold a pop. I then ran south, collected the 5 spicy eels as well as the chest they were in before collecting some more fiber on my way to chests 5 and 6 in the secret woods. These held a bounty of 2 sweet gem berries, 35 explosive ammo, and some salad. I made myself another farm totem, teleported to my deconstructors, and slapped 3 more crystallariums in. I then took the minecart to town and collected some rewards from the museum. Shawnee had helpfully donated a bunch of museum items, so some cheeky rewards were available, most notably some rock candy, which famously gives +5 luck, an essential for tomorrow's Skull Caverns run, and some coffee and some more handy farm totems. Then it was off to Ginger Island. I jumped on Big Willie's boat and off I went. I hoed this wiggly worm spot as the Omni Geode will come in handy. I headed north a bit, picked up a bunch of ginger, cause why not? Blew my way into Professor Snail's cave for some mushrooms, and collected 5 more Omni Geodes. I then headed to the west of the island and returned the pirate's locket that Shawnee generously provided in chest 1, in return for which she taught me the fairy dust recipe. I took a farm totem home, slapped yet another 3 crystallariums into deconstruct before grabbing chest 7, featuring a luck ring and 5 more jades. This one was placed very cheekily right behind this big old tree. I then took the minecart to the quarry and grabbed the 1 cheeky jade available there before returning to the bus stop and catching the bus to the desert. At the desert, I bought 2 desert totems with the 6 Omni Geodes I'd collected and then spent all of my gold at the desert oasis on ice creams for health and energy in the Skull Caverns tomorrow. I then took a totem home yet again, but this time I picked up my deconstructors before heading to Clint's. I put the deconstructors down and chucked 3 more crystallariums in and left those to do their thing as I went to Pierre's to sell the stuff I didn't need. Most notably the 2 sweet gem berries, which made me 6,000 gold. gold. I returned to Clint's in time before he closes at 4, picked up my deconstructors and sold all the iridium bars, increasing my gold total to over 30,000. I jumped in the minecart and headed to the mines to collect chest number 8 and its 15 fairy roses, cookie and copper pan. I put the copper pan on my head and headed to Robbins and bought up all the stone I could, ending up with a stack of 324. Now that I'd done all that I needed to at the shops before closing time, I was free to tie up some loose ends. I dropped off my deconstructors at the mines and put some stone chests in them before toteming back to the farm and running to the wizard's tower. I used his cheeky teleporter to find my way to the witch's hut, where I found chest number 9 and its 15 diamonds and a sailor's cap. I then used the first of my desert totems and plonked down my remaining crystallariums and filled them with jades. I crafted 15 fairy dust using the recipe from Ginger Island, which used up the 15 fairy roses and 15 diamonds. The fairy dust allowed me to make the crystallarium's jade duplication instant, netting me another 15 jades. I used all of these jades to purchase 53 staircases from the desert trader. I busted back and picked up the final sneaky chest, which made 10 chests total. This last one was tucked away in the tunnel and held a dwarf hammer. Beyond that, all I could think to do with the rest of my day was collect more stones for staircase crafting. So I deconstructed the rest of my stone chests, cleared out the quarry, and dived into the mines. Oh, and I grabbed some nice purple boots, a star drop that reminded me of Shawnee's beautiful butt, as well as the crucial skull key, which will grant me access to the Skull Caverns tomorrow. And that was the best I could come up with for my first attempt at a prep day. But in the back of my mind was a niggling thought. What if I could get my hands on more explosive ammo? Focusing so heavily on stones didn't really seem worth it, as I only ended up with 10 extra staircases for all my hard work. And so it was time for prep day attempt number 2. The Adventurers Guild has been known to sell explosive ammo at 300 gold a pop, and I'd known this all along, except initially I'd done my math wrong and thought that my 30 grand would only get me 10 explosive ammo. In reality, 30,000 divided by 300 is 100, and when my enormous brain finally caught up and realized this, I was very excited because 100 explosive ammo sounded way more useful than a handful of staircases. So for this run, I did everything pretty much exactly the same, except I didn't spend my gold at Robbins. I went to the Adventurers Guild to buy explosive ammo instead. Except when I got there, I discovered a disturbing lack of explosive ammo in the shop menu. Turns out you can't purchase explosive ammo until you're a high enough level to craft explosive ammo, which is level 8 combat. And so naturally I checked my combat level. I was level 7. Shawnee had done it again. The man had thought of everything. Surely this meant that it was possible to hit level 8. And so to verify, I fired up the save file with the UI info suite mod on so that I could check exactly how far towards level 8 I was. I needed heaps of experience to reach level 8 combat, and that just didn't seem possible. So before taking the plunge, I decided it was time to do some snooping around. And who should I go to for wisdom but unsurpassable Z, a fine young man recently awarded world's most okay Stardew Valley player. From Z, I discovered that yes indeed, leveling combat to 8 was possible. I also learned that buying explosive ammo was not the way to go. It was better to craft it. Equipped with my stolen ideas, I set out for prep day attempt number 3. The early parts of this strategy were essentially the same as previous: sewers, secret woods, museum, but then I changed it up by collecting what I needed from the mines and the mountain lake chest early, as well as the diamonds from the witch's hut. I then sold everything at Pierre's and headed to Big Willie's shop, and here's where the strategy differs hugely. The intel gathered spying on Z had taught me that spinners, you know, the ones you use for fishing, give 2 iron bars when deconstructed, and explosive ammo requires 1 iron bar plus 2 coal to craft 5 explosive ammo. Hence the improved use for my gold, a bunch of spinners. The downside was they don't stack, so I filled up my bag with as many as I could. Then it was off to Ginger Island to secure the fairy dust recipe. The only change on Ginger Island was that I didn't bother with the Omni Geodes, as I expected to be able to find what I needed while in the Skull Caverns later in the day. I then farm totemed home, collected my deconstructors, and headed to the blacksmith. I finished off deconstructing my final 3 crystallariums while shopping at Clint's. I sold all my iridium bars and bought a bunch of iron ore and coal to add to my resources for creating additional explosive ammo tomorrow. Then it was off to the Skull Caverns. On my way there, I bought a bunch of ice cream and duplicated my 15 jades with the fairy dust. It was 4 PM, so I had 10 hours to grind out level 8 combat. I plonked down all of my deconstructors and furnaces, and the approach here was simple. Spam reset level 1, kill monsters, and all the while deconstruct the spinners and smelt the iron ore. I bonked them green noodly flyers with great efficiency. I flattened many a slime. Crucially, I got a hold of 3 Omni Geodes and quickly snuck out at about 9 PM to buy my desert totem. I'll need this to get to the desert first thing in the morning tomorrow. I also used this opportunity to buy all my staircases. And at 1:30 AM, just as I was beginning to panic, I checked my combat and was relieved to find I'd hit level 8. My optimized prep day was complete. I'd collected all of Shawnee's treats and, most importantly, enough iron bars to craft over 200 explosive ammo. There was one problem though. What about daily luck? What if I've done all of this hard work and it turns out I get a crappy luck day? Well, I'd thought about that, and when I'd been spying on Unsurpassable Z, I saw he'd been using some spreadsheet wizardry to accurately control the luck of his day. Apparently, daily luck is influenced by a number of factors, including how many steps the character has taken. This is why Shawnee providing access to the casino was so crucial. The computer lets players know how many steps they've taken. That number, along with a few other things, can be punched into this spreadsheet that someone created, and it will tell you how many steps you need to take to ensure best luck tomorrow. Here's the thing, I couldn't find this spreadsheet anywhere. It's just my luck to not have the luck to find the spreadsheet that controls luck, am I right? So anyway, I left it up to luck, and somehow it was a best luck day. Lucky for me, I don't need no spreadsheet. And so with best luck on my side, it was time to make some attempts. Now, the key things you need to know about the official Skull Caverns run are, firstly, the goal is to get to as low a floor as possible. Secondly, one limitation Shawnee put on this was that you only have 21 real-time minutes at your disposal. So not only did I need to be efficient with in-game time, I couldn't waste time, period. And so for the run day, I teleported to the desert with my desert totem, ate my food and drank my coffee, and then bought another triple shot espresso and spicy eel from the desert trader with some gems I'd found yesterday. I grabbed one last iron bar from the entrance and in I went. There isn't that much to say about the run. For me, the prep day is the interesting bit, but basically you blow up rocks mainly with the explosive ammo but also with the occasional bomb. You go down ladders, you jump down shafts, and when a level is being a pain, you throw down a staircase. I had 46 iron bars which represented a potential 230 extra explosive ammo. However, I only had 28 coal and I needed 92. Fortunately, you pick up a fair bit of coal in the Skull Caverns, and so at a few points throughout the run, I would stop and craft more explosive ammo. Now, one thing to note is that I'm a noob and I suck at using the slingshot when it's set to pull in the opposite direction, and my understanding is that this is faster. So if I'd bothered to learn how to do that, perhaps that would have made a big difference. Either way, I made plenty of attempts. And while playing it correctly is a huge factor, luck plays a huge role too. The biggest luck factor was shafts. The frequency of shafts found, as well as the number of levels those shafts happen to take you, could make a huge difference. And so after a bunch of attempts, I was averaging around 300 levels deep at the 21-minute mark. But my best run saw me reach level 391. Now this seems pretty good to me, but I know it's not enough to win the competition. Some other Stardew nerds out there no doubt pulled off a better prep day than me and grinded out a much better Skull Caverns run than me. Hats off to you, fellow nerds. But for me, 391 feels pretty good. If you enjoyed this video, check out this challenge where I attempted to get as deep in the mines as possible on day 5, spring year 1, the very first day you have access to the mines. Cheers!